My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity, theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. Alrighty, this is the entity that is aware that they're monitoring my vagina is being documented, and that's why you have presence in the path outside of the entrance where the fake sun is seated from morning until evening, and the departure from that, and no demon in the driver's seat. Communication devices in hand. The entity engaging in psychological torture, gang stalking with sex offenders, S7SUH671, and Ontario Police keeps the vehicle here while the fake sun is here. Remember, the fake sun is here while the Ontario police are stalking in the path, engaging in police training at 7:15 in the morning right there at 303 North Euclid Avenue. The Ontario police are gang stalking right here. A group of those demons wearing Ontario police uniforms at 1:07 p.m. right here. The entity is maintaining the fake sun over the Economy Inn, where the fake sun is still remaining over that hotel as I step outside of room 242 and also 234, and the entity is maintaining that fake sun over the west end of that hotel. The entity is downstairs surrounding gang stalking with sex offenders who are going to prison, monitoring my vagina. License 1675930, vehicle 1136, under the fake sun, psychological torture while you're documenting. He knows what I'm documenting on my phone. He's monitoring with the sex offenders inside of the venue, and they're engaging in this is audible activity. Why?
Because you're in the middle of the road.
This is a turn circle,
Yeah, see, there's like
and I'm getting ready to cross the street.
there's cars.
Okay, this is Engineer Light where he's talking, and he's not concerned about my safety. He's monitoring my vagina. What's your badge number?
20177.
20177. He's going to federal prison. He's monitoring my vagina. He's a sex offender. Getting out of the street, with regard to getting out of the street under the fake sun while he's engaged in threatening my life and safety and monitoring my genitalia. That's Engineer Light that he's driving in. And he's specifically present while the demons are inside, including this one that works at the veterans desk. He's monitoring my vagina with the Ontario police as well. He's doing so while he's stalking in the path, not concerned with the conversation, and the significance of that is the proof of what is the fake sun. At 6:24 p.m. I arrived here by around 10 a.m. and the fake sun is right here on video, an image, and I also have it on video. I've been uploading evidence onto YouTube all day long. I go into the restroom. Their demons are surrounding in the men's restroom, the African-American male. You'll see him in images. He is stalking in the path by going to the male restroom. The demons are stalking in the path, surrounding inside of that library, which is filled with Engineer Light. As impossible as this light is appearing in the shade, where this demon who is stalking with the OVITT Family Community Library, this is not sunlight. And you also know it's not sunlight because not only is the fake sun present in the morning at this venue, the entity that's the fake sun is over Economy Inn at the same time that it's reflecting off of the window of the same OVITT Family Community Library, was right there in this position where it's reflecting off of the same building. That's the pattern of stalking with the fake sun. It was here this morning in the same position where it's reflecting off of that window. That's a stalker that works at the veterans desk downstairs, and he's monitoring my vagina with the rest of the demons that are surrounding while the entity worships my vagina. Okay, Impossible Light fills the library where a bunch of sex offenders are pacing in and out with minor children, because that's what that is. The entity is engaging in the P.O.C, and this is the fake sun where the gang stalking immigrants at Economy Inn are maintaining surveillance, and the entity is gang stalking like you saw on video, where that same department that's at 215 E.C. Street under the fake sun. Remember, at 6:03 p.m., the Ontario Police Department is flying in circles for 10 minutes for you to see a spectacular iteration of mental illness and the sexual obsession with the demons that are monitoring as the Ontario Police, the City of Ontario, the people of the state are doing. There's no sun that's over 2301 South Euclid Avenue that is creating any sort of sunlight in the shade that's reflecting off of 215 E.C. Street, the OVITT Family Community Library, where it was over the same building as you'll see in images this morning as I arrived during the 10 a.m. hour. And it is also not going to be at the Motel 6 in Arcadia, California, where I am at today in 2024. A sex offender is intentionally engaging in what is presence of a communication of a threat. That's the Ontario Police that are gang stalking. You go to federal prison for that. And the Ontario Police is surrounded with evidence of them gang stalking me at a plethora of venues throughout the City of Ontario. And what you'll see, the pattern is the fake sun over me while they're gang stalking as a corrupt police department. They're also demons, okay? Remember, the fake sun is over this parking garage at 10 in the morning? And the ceiling inside of that parking garage is filled with Engineer Light. That's Engineer Light, and the library is filled with Engineer Light while sex offenders surround and the entity is maintaining the elements of monitoring. Okay, that's P.O.C. United Airlines, that's engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring, just like they are, while the fake sun remains over my hotel room, 2301 South Euclid Avenue, and Alan D. Wapner monitoring my vagina the entire stay from July 14, 2025 till today, August 4th, 2025, remaining at Economy Inn, where the fake sun never left that hotel building. It remained right over me. That's how you know that Alan D. Wapner is also monitoring my vagina with sex offenders who are surrounding an Engineered Light. That's impossible light activity. This is the impossible occurrence where gang stalking police officers are proven and exposed, and they're also shown to be sex offenders, domestic terrorists, that are monitoring while they make automobile activity, monitoring me, stating, please get out of the street, as though that's some sort of guise to engage in any sort of execution of a duty of an officer. He is not an officer. Officers, law enforcement officers, are not engaged in domestic terrorism, gang stalking, and monitoring my genitalia, which is what he's doing, okay? He's going to federal prison. Okay, this is P.O.C. This is 215 E.C. Street. And the entity is engaging what is surrounding. And I want to be clear, it's a specific tactic. While the sex offenders, who are the people of the state, driving at engineered light, that's stalking, which is what they were doing at the hotel the entire time. While they are going to be federally prosecuted, this is the population sharing in that. Now, this demon is just not driving an Ontario police vehicle. License 27091E4, light activity, ongoing impossible light activity, and hopping in the vehicle with regard to the same exact pattern of conduct. That's P.O.C. Impossible light moves across that. That's not sunlight. The fake sun's on the opposite side, and there's no reflection off of the building that's going to create that. That's a demon that's monitoring. That's exactly what the Ontario Police Department do. I just want to make sure that it is understood. I've already proven and prosecuted the government on the internet. I'm going to prosecute in federal court. This is the entity that engaged in what is an unlawful eviction from Tracy Banks's apartment. Tracy Banks is still gang stalking. She's as obsessed with my vagina as I'm showing the Ontario Police Department are and the people of the state are. She's an incestuous sex offender, just like the government actors Alan D. WAPNER and Mike LORENZ. She's going to federal prison, and the entity is engaging what is monitoring me while I'm remaining at the hotel of Economy Inn, and while I remain today at what is 215 E.C. Street, where the fake sun is over me this morning. And the entity that is engaging in that's the entity that is going to be prosecuted civilly and criminally. All right. The ongoing sexual violence with regard to monitoring my vagina inside of the OVITT Family Community Library. Alrighty, the entity sounding train activity and stalking by helicopter. That same license plate is stalking, facilitating helicopter activity by the Ontario Police. Alright, the entity sounding helicopter over here. The entity is stalking, and you already know that the Ontario Police are stalkers, they're demons, and they use helicopters in conformity to the pattern of conduct in California. This demon that is stalking with peculiarized light is monitoring with this demon. They're engaged in federal stalking using communication devices. The entity going from train activity to plane activity with regard to the maintenance of demonic elements for what is surveillance on communication devices and in the environment. Fake sun. They are surrounding in what is engineer light. This is Alan D. WAPNER. His mental illness and his sexual violence is proven through the gang stalking using commercial planes throughout the city of Ontario under a fake sun. And this is the impunity of the entity that commits attempted murder, and they're gang stalking with the intent to commit murder. 5MZW051. This is the entity that committed attempted murder. This is the entity that is monitoring my vagina and committed attempted murder as an entity, and you know that because they're all stalking together in the exact same manner. They commit murders together, they commit kidnappings together, they committed attempted murder. 7RVX159, a third-party gang stalker committing attempted murder as an entity, and they are still acting with impunity. I want to be clear, the gang stalking police officers facilitating this violence, they're going to prison for engaging in attempted murder as an entity and engaging what is ongoing sexual violence as an entity. These aren't individuals. You already know that, but don't forget they committed attempted murder as an entity as well. And for that, the impunity that I'm documenting, while you're engaging in what is seeking to kidnap and murder an American citizen, they already engaged in what is attempted murder, while Alan D. WAPNER and Mike LORENZ are still engaging in that pattern of conduct and furtherance of murder. They already attempted murder, and the entity is still gang stalking in furtherance of murder. Okay, this is P.O.C. It's 6:31 p.m. where the fake sun is here, and there is no natural environment that includes the fake sun at any location anywhere in the world for the duration of the day. Not only that, it's not simultaneously over Motel 6 in Arcadia, California, which I'm documenting on this day in 2024. The previous video cut short. The entity is, however, sounding helicopter activity over here, while the entity was amplifying train activity over here. And the entity is keeping the fake sun in alignment to me here. This is where I'm arriving at the entrance this morning at 10 o'clock, okay? The entity is engaging in sexual violence. These gang stalking minors are under the age of majority, monitoring with the government, and I documented them today, engaging what is harassment. These are demons that are under the age of majority, which you need to understand is the reality, and it's also the government that's engaging what is the contribution to the delinquency of minors. All right, they are very well trained in terrorism, by the way. Demon possession, it's demonic, and it's also going to be prosecuted. It is currently 6:32 p.m. This is what's putting the gang stalking immigrants at Economy in federal prison. All right, that's P.O.C. All right, so I'm going to publish the images of the demons that are gang stalking by going into the male restroom. They're surrounding while Ontario police are outside monitoring my vagina and also being present in order to communicate a threat, psychological torture. License 7NOE310, that's impunity. These are the demons that commit attempted murder. They're targeting as an entity. Committed attempted murder as an entity. 7EGJ 752. P.O.C. They're targeting together. They commit gang stalking as an entity. That's in furtherance of murder and kidnapping, and they've already committed attempted murder as an entity. 7EGJ 752 is targeting, and you know that they're specifically targeting, and they're also targeting while they committed attempted murder as an entity with the gang stalkers, the Ontario Police Department. This is P.O.C. It is currently 6:33 p.m. This is bathroom monitoring at 215 E.C. Street. The documentation is going to be published on the Google Drive, and it's going to be published on the YouTube channel. And this is the ongoing pattern of conduct. And you're going to look at what the entity is doing at 2301 South Euclid Avenue, where the Ontario Police and Alan D. WAPNER, the Ontario International Airport, are flying over that hotel while the fake sun does not ever leave to be reflecting off of this building, which is never going to create sunlight in the shade. And it's never going to be over one building. At that, I'm present in the morning and still present while the entity is showing you exactly who's stalking and monitoring my vagina, the Ontario Police, with all of the population, the people of the state. But that's the pattern of conduct, that economy in. Who's going to prison? Who's being deported? The gang stalking immigrants in California who are violent sex offenders, and those that engage in what is committing murder as an entity that is gang stalking. License 9RGC598 P.O.C. All right, the video you just listened to is video of what I documented. It is bathroom monitoring, and documenting the presence of the Ontario Police is documentation of what you already know as a pattern of conduct. That's documenting and recognizing the pattern of psychological torture, the demons that are communicating a threat by virtue of presence. A gang stalking police officer communicates an unlawful threat that is also psychologically harmful, and the entity is gang stalking someone that's prosecuting them. And so that's relevant to the federal imprisonment of gang stalking police officers like the demon in that police vehicle. The fake sun is present. That's speaking to the intent to be present and communicate a threat and knowledge that you're being documented while you're gang stalking. Okay, that's an impermissible threat. Already gang stalking, also engaging in ongoing monitoring, intentionally communicating a threat while gang stalking. And the intention to communicate that threat is the idle fake sun and the impossible light activity and the criminal conduct of the Ontario International Airport, all the elements of monitoring and the pattern of conduct by the city. License 7HIA423, 7BNW198, 8VJS614. This is exactly what economy in. This is exactly what Woodside Senior Apartments. This is exactly what the Topor Professional Building. This is the P.O.C. The gang stalking officials of the city of Ontario, they're being removed from office, and they have all shared in what is attempted murder upon gang stalking. As I'm showing you the identical pattern of conduct, and they committed attempted murder with Tracy Banks, with Jason Isaac Fields, seeking to steal and criminally defame me while gang stalking. License plate 8MOT328, license 7CHN722, 6ROS793, 5GDD925, and the people of the state that are on video under that fake sun stalking, monitoring genitalia, a sex offender with the entity that also sounds helicopter activity. This is facilitation, helping the government terrorize somebody, stalk them, monitor them in furtherance of murdering them. License 27091E4. That's that truck that's driving through impossible light activity, monitoring with impunity with every other third party. But I want to make sure I document what I'm documenting. Remember, this is the entity that's already made an attempt on my life. The entity is making an attempt on your life when they're gang stalking you as well. Okay, but the entity literally engaged in what is poisoning, is seeking to take my life in a malicious manner. And then is gang stalking is serving the purpose for trying to not only artificially engineer mental illness so that they can control a narrative, oh, she killed herself, oh, she's a drug addict, and all the other lies that Tracy Banks and Eric Spencer, Jason Isaac Fields, the government that is gang stalking, such as the Ontario Police Department, the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, San Bernardino County, have already engaged in creating. The entity is engaged in what is systematically poisoning me, and then they didn't complete that task though. But I want to be clear, Alan D. WAPNER and Mike LORENZ are fully cooperative and intentionally and knowingly engaging and sharing in that criminal act on my life, that attempt on my life. And this is why those departments are gang stalking as well. The police department, Mike LORENZ, is gang stalking because of his purpose, his intent to get away with committing murder as a corrupt government act, and to aid in the government getting away with it through the criminal conduct, the corruption of the government, getting away with murder, and you never know anything about it. That's why Alan D. WAPNER is engaging. They are going to be removed from office for attempted murder as an entity. 1664663. That's City of Ontario. As clearly as you see that fake sun, that is no longer over economy in. That's very specific and precise evidence of the government targeting me, and the government targeting through what is a systematic poisoning that I'm subject to by this entire entity that is gang stalking me. license plate 5GKC129. They are going to be prosecuted for not only understand state surveillance, the entity committed systematic poisoning. All of these demons that I'm documenting, as an entity it's being prosecuted, and by your license plate, as I'm documenting someone that's committed attempted murder as an entity. They're going to be prosecuted for every aspect of the criminal pattern of conduct that they have intentionally and knowingly engaged in and facilitated. That's P.O.C. That's why the specific environment is there. That's the supernatural feature, which is that which you are not able to create. You could not make that up, and there's no such thing as that level of a coincidence either. It's not only coincidental, it's not only coincidental with regard to what is a pattern. Okay, it's clinically referred to what is a pattern. This is a pattern of what is a supernatural pattern of conduct, supernatural features. Okay, so the entities not only engaged in gang stalking, in other words, these are demons that have tried to murder me. Okay, so, and they're doing so with their co-defendant, Jason Isaac Fields, their co-defendant, Tracy Banks. They know exactly who I am. They know exactly what it is that I consume. They know when I'm using the bathroom. They know what's going on with my vagina. They know exactly where I stay. That's why the fake sun remains where I stay. And they also know where I am with regard to what the government is showing you about knowledge about where I am and what I'm doing. And they also like to communicate threats while they poison you, try to murder you as a government act. You're going to be prosecuted for that. VEEMERZ, engaged in the ongoing unlawful conspiracy to murder while they're engaged in gang stalking. License 74265U1, 5XBV985. You hear the entity sounding plane activity? You see the entity stalking with the fake sun. You see those demons still pacing around, because that's what the Ontario police are doing, while the fake sun's remaining over me, and a bunch of demons are defiant and maintaining presence. They refuse to stop gang stalking. That's going to be relevant to the murder, the intent to murder, the conspiracy to murder. 8WTM270. Stalking in the parking lot, 88JF065. 9KKT805. ARCHUK1. License 9SXV126, 84712R3. And these demons are doing so while the Ontario police are stalking in the path as I walk outside of the library. These are demons that are very much obsessed with my vagina, very much engaged in the ongoing threat to murder while engaging in attempted murder. And the entity is stalking now at the back portion of the OVITT Family Community Library with commercial planes where they're no longer flying south over Economy Inn, where there is no airport there's no airports where they're taking off there either. This is, again, no controversy and no confusion, and there's also no mistaking stalking by commercial planes, where this entity is engaging in those astronomically, like, ridiculous and spectacular methods of stalking, expensive methods of stalking, because this entity has conspired to steal my money and property, while I am subject to what is living under the circumstances of homelessness while you're gang stalking me and trying to poison me in order to murder me. This is the entity that's going to federal prison. Okay, this is what I'm documenting because they're going. License. You're going to federal prison. License 88JF065, maintaining presence while the police are driving around a relevant position, stalking together with the people, and also while the entity is maintaining, remember, these are demons that are maintaining audible activity. This isn't sunlight that they're sitting in. This is not the sun that they're sitting under. These are demons, and this is monitoring, and the demons commit murder while they're gang stalking you. And that's what these license plates are engaging in. These third parties are engaging in. And this is, again, third parties that I'm documenting in my path. The entire state of California's gang stalking. That's why the fake sun's remaining over the Arcadia Motel 6 off of Colorado, where I am documenting on this day in 2024. The entire state is gang stalking. The entire state is invested in what is my murder. Okay, and they've already committed attempted murder, and the government politicians, the mayor in Pasadena, the mayor in Ontario, California, LAPD, that's gang stalking me while I'm living in LA, the mayor in Los Angeles, in other words, the city of Ontario, the cities where I am documenting this P.O.C, the government, the state is invested in committing murder while they are gang stalking. License 6EVX766, crossing path, driving in the engineer light in the parking lot. And this is the city of Ontario, filled with city of Ontario vehicles. License 74265U1. And the entity has been monitoring all day long. I've been publishing video evidence onto YouTube where you will see this pattern of conduct, where I am documenting in 2021, and you will see the ongoing maintenance of a specific environment which defies nature. Okay, showing you what is clear evidence beyond a reasonable doubt, by the way, meaning you're not questioning whatsoever, not reasonably. You are talking about what is proven conclusively that the entity is targeting, and the proof of that targeting is through the supernatural environment where the target has been placed on the demons who are exposed where they thought that they would never be exposed. And they are clearly shown to be stalking all one person whom they together are seeking to murder. And that's why this entity that's stalking by planes and helicopters, stalking inside of a library after stalking at a motel for over 2 weeks, is engaging in what is keeping that fake sun now today over OVITT Family Community Library. The entity was at no point keeping that fake sun. While it's sitting over the roof, it's not at OVITT Family Community Library at all. And that ignorant iteration and obvious provision of evidence is how you know that this entity is also specifically targeting the person that they are seeking to murder. And that's the entity that committed attempted murder as one, as clearly as I'm documenting their license plates while they're in a specific environment, not coincidentally, but pursuant to a pattern of conduct where the entity that is engaged in criminal monitoring, like the city of Ontario is, and the entire population is, they have together also committed what is an attempted murder and seeking to get away with it through the malicious pattern of conduct of federal group stalking and monitoring. License 9KID 610. That's every business. Okay, Motel 6, the business, is engaged in conspiring the death of an American citizen. Economy Inn is engaged in the corruption of conspiring the murder of an American citizen whom it is keeping under surveillance in its hotel room as a third-party innkeeper, where the fake sun remains over me at that hotel room. And these demons, who are the people of the state, are stalking and monitoring in that hotel. That's not a coincidence. That's the pattern of conduct. And the entity is engaging in what is poisoning while they're seeking to take your life, while they're keeping you under surveillance, stalking you, monitoring your vagina, like that Ontario Police Department demon is doing. He's going to federal prison just like his partner. C. Torres, L. Martinez, B. Hook, Nathan Morgan, L. Edwards, Alex Escobar, A. Casada, these demons that are committing kidnapping. You have C. Hazelwood and Owens. They're all going to federal prison. Every single last one of them. They're engaged in gang stalking while all of their partners are always proving that the rest of their partners are demons in a gang stalking as well. They're all stalking in the specific environment. An environment that is in and of itself impossible to naturally be the case. Impossible to naturally exist. Impossible to coexist with the maintenance of that environment anywhere else. Impossible that the two are, in other words, are happening at the same time when you are looking at the evidence of what the Ontario Police Department is engaging in, and they are all done with law enforcement, and you're going to federal prison for conspiring my murder, which is established upon your gang stalking me, which is a whole department-wide act, and they're obsessed with my vagina. That's why they're surrounding me and surrounding my vagina, surrounding me and monitoring, keeping me under surveillance inside of the bathroom of the OVITT Family Community Library, where I'm showing the fake sun is remaining over that building from morning until evening, which is never the pattern of the natural environment, but it is the pattern of conduct showing you we're targeting by a government in concert with the people who are not individual citizens. They're not individual citizens, they're third parties. They're stalking in the bathroom while Ontario police are outside of the building, and they're all maintaining a network of communication devices, monitoring my every move, monitoring what's going on with my genitalia. That's a sex offender whose license plate and image and voice you hear under the fake sun and an engineered light. License 8DXH939. A gang stalking demon of this illegitimate institution, College of Law of Laverne. They're a gang stalking institution where the fake sun is over me at 10 o'clock in the morning. It's still here at 6:47 p.m. But the entity is keeping the fake sun at 7:16 p.m. at 2301 South Euclid Avenue at the Economy Inn, where I left this morning. I left today. Okay, but those gang stalking housekeepers, license 9MBP997, maintaining ongoing earthquake, that's called sensational activity while a fake sun set over that roof, and gang stalking immigrants are justly being deported out of this country. Engaging in what is conspiracy to murder an American citizen, doing so with the gang stalking police department, you're going to federal prison, you're being deported out of this country. The entities are doing so while they are monitoring the evidence against them, while they are conspiring the murder of an American citizen whom they're keeping under surveillance. You will be subject to federal prison and you're being deported out of this country. This is P.O.C. The entity is stalking with helicopter activity. Oh, amplified. It sounds as helicopter activity. It's amplification of plane activity under the fake sun. So you have the same elements. The entity engages in this chicanery. They're demons. The entity will sound helicopter activity while you're looking at a plane. The entity will sound helicopter activity while there's no helicopter that you can visibly see. It's miles away over, for example, the mountains. The entity will sound plane activity while you see a helicopter flying outside of your window. The entity will sound train activity while a helicopter is flying in a distance in circles, like you saw at Economy Inn. The entity will fly over over south over Economy Inn, where now it's flying over the OVITT Family Community Library. Neither are venues where there's any takeoff from the airports at 2500 Airport Drive, Terminal 2 and Terminal 4. There's only 2 terminals. An immediate takeoff never results in hovering over the library, and hovering over 280 North Lemon Apartments, and hovering over 2301 South Euclid Avenue. It's not resulting in flying south over that hotel, sounding any plane activity inside of that hotel, creating any rumbling and earthquake activity inside of that hotel. It's not going to maintain any sort of plane activity when you are taking off from those from those terminals, and you're immediately taking off and maintaining a normal flight. They are hovering because they're targeting. That's the sound of the plane activity is evidence of targeting, and it's also how demons are monitoring through noise and presence and engineered light. The demon possessed are engaged in an inhumane method of surveillance, and they're also violent sex offenders that sit around, salivate and masturbate and engage in group sex and worshiping demonic spirits while they're monitoring your genitalia. This is a Jezebel spirit operating over a government and a population of sex offenders that like to engage in it with minor children. That's what you're looking at pacing inside of the OVITT Family Community Library, and they have all manner of perpendicular and multiple shadows pacing around, pursuant to the same P.O.C. All right, amplified plane activity is coexisting. This license plate, this demon in this City of Ontario parking lot, already documented it, pacing on doing so again. I think I read this one, 74265U1, EF46B54. That's a paper plate on a Tesla of a demon that's monitoring, and the same demon that's on video driving an engineered light with that large gray truck is facilitating light activity for all these demons that I'm documenting, including the Ontario International Airport. That's Alan D. WAPNER. That's engaged in conspiracy to murder an American citizen, whom he is engaging with a state surveillance, domestic terrorism, doing so while as a president of airport authority, and the gang stalking by planes is underway. This is the entity that's engaging in that conspiracy to murder, maintaining psychological torture, and gang stalking as one. Pay attention, this is Exhibit A. 27091E4. And that's UPS hovering over 88JF065. That's UPS. UPS that was flying over 2301 South Euclid Avenue. Amazon Prime that was flying over 2301 South Euclid Avenue, while the fake sun is over those 2 planes as a matter of documentation, where the entity is keeping that fake sun from 7:15 a.m. to 7:16 a.m. All right, this is where the entity is engaging in that P.O.C. and the video is showing you the fake sun. Look at the Google Drive and you'll see the fake sun over me as I arrive at the OVITT Family Community Library this morning during the 10 a.m. hour. License 8DUU54T again, 8BDK061, stalking, engaging in surveillance with the government. License plate, African American male, 9SYH801. License 8AVF184, 7BNW198, 9LDZ526. This demon is gang stalking with the Ontario Police Department, like I said. Black face demons, white face demons, olive brown face demons, that the entity is engaging in what there is no race with regard to the demon possessed. Okay, those that are of this spirit, they tend to be racist. It's a demonic spirit, but these demons don't have a race. These demons are identified through their behavioral pattern in the specific environment. Securitas is gang stalking. That's a third-party company engaged in the P.O.C. Securitas is engaged in years of criminal surveillance with the City of Ontario, and this is now a Caucasian male. I documented many of the Securitas demons gang stalking at the OVITT Family Community Library and at the Ontario Town Square. That third-party company is engaged in sexual violence, engaged in domestic terrorism, and engaged in kidnapping, including with the OVITT Family Community Library and criminal summoning. 9MUH773. All right, the entity is moving as I move with the plane activity. So on video, you see the demons of United Airlines flying over 280 North Lemon Apartments as I'm at the front entrance. As I walk to the back portion of the OVITT Family Community Library, where that fake sun also moves to remain in alignment to me. That's called stalking with light that a whole population shares in. That fake sun moves to the back portion, and so do the demons that are flying gang stalking with commercial plane, which includes UPS, okay? Flying over and migrating as I migrate. And this is, again, UPS is monitoring my vagina. United Airlines is monitoring my vagina. Amazon Prime, as you saw, gang stalking, flying over my head, flying south while I'm at the MOBIL gas at 2315 South Euclid Avenue. And doing so as I'm documenting these demons, the people of the state, sharing in attempted murder, sharing in sexual violence, sharing in harassment and terrorism, domestic terrorism, a bunch of demons stalking with sensational activity and amplified activity as you go out and get those cowards backwards license plates, a commercial plane hovers over your head, helicopter flies over all around you, while the demons are stalking you with all manner of ridiculous, impossible light activity. This is where the entity is keeping that environment, and the entity is monitoring my vagina, and it is attributed to companies like U.S.C. Stalking, that is Southwest Airlines, that is Amazon Prime, that is Alan D. WAPNER. This white demon that wants to be confused with some sort of pious man, some sort of righteous man, because he wants to look like whatever he thinks being a Jewish man means. License plate 9MGF697. Stalking in the path. These are demons that, again, conspiring murder, and they act like murderers as well. They're surrounding at nightfall as I exit the OVITT Family Community Library, and this is on behalf of a gang stalking police department that commits attempted murder and murder as well, as so obsessively consumed with conspiring to murder and kidnap and steal that they're stalking in bathrooms. 74695Y3, sharing in what is stalking in the path. This is not traffic in engineer light outside of the bathroom, traffic in engineer light outside of the library. These are the demons that are engaging in all manner of obsessive stalking patterns, including in the parking garage. Parking garage, this is relevant positioning. They're surrounding my path with engineer light. License 9NXS903 is stalking with the demon that you'll see at the 280 North Limit Apartments that are aiming light toward me. They're surrounding my path with light. 9KZR416. These are demons that are stalking at Wells Fargo, stalking with light. While the entity is stalking by 4VWC977, while the entity is maintaining aerial surveillance in the sky space. These are the demons that engage in poisoning you while they're obsessively stalking you. That's murder that's committed by the gang stalkers. You don't act by yourself when you're poisoning the target individual. You act as an entity. And those demons that are gang stalking you and poisoning you together stalk you in helicopters together until you fall dead. All aware of the fact that you've been poisoned. It's a part of the pattern of conduct. And this is what this entity that's stalking me in the middle of the night and has been keeping me under surveillance in that hotel where the fake sun is the evidence of it. There's no coincidences, and the entity commits murder, which you're learning as I'm exposing and I'm prosecuting. And federal group stalking and monitoring is going to be prosecuted as what it is. And it's an exceedingly violent sex offense committed by a public entity, and it is the evidence of conspiring to murder someone. So you are going to be prosecuted for conspiracy to murder. That's why you're engaging in stalking as a population, and the corruption of the government is what is supposed to provide the ability to get away with it. All right, it's currently 9:05 p.m. That's terrorism while demons are stalking you in that manner, as I'm documenting. That is terrorism while predators are seeking you out, and they're doing so lusting after your death. These are bloodthirsty demons. License 8CHN381. This is P.O.C. Nine CFC 795, 8YYT 837, 7BIR 026. And Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue, they're pacing inside of the cafe, which they will be doing on surveillance cameras. And I don't have to be inside subject to their stalking with amplified noise and with impossible light activity to prosecute them while I'm looking at them gang stalking me in the specific environment. Harley is gang stalking in the path, and the demons are inside with communication devices monitoring me while I'm sitting across the street looking at them, and the entity is also amplifying plane activity, and they are gang stalking with the traffic, the demons that are pacing on Euclid Avenue, just like they were as I documented them day in and day out from June 4th, 2025 until July 4th, 2025 when they committed kidnapping. Okay, they're going to federal prison. Starbucks is engaged in attempted murder as an entity, and they engaged in repeated acts of criminal summoning with the intent to obstruct justice from their being exposed and prosecuted for attempted murder with the government. That's why they're gang stalking as an establishment as third parties working at that venue. 8HDR 948, 8TDB 952. They're all engaging in federal stalking with that entity, acting in furtherance of the conspiracy to murder. 9GXM 013. 9ADU 959, and they have as an entity already committed attempted murder. You are gang stalking, you're doing so with the criminal objective to accomplish a murder, and they've already accomplished the federal offense of attempted murder as an entity engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring. It is 9:18 p.m. at 507 North Euclid Avenue. All right, Unicare Community Health Center, which you see gang stalking me as an establishment, and a bunch of demons that you should know are threatening your life while they are in the medical profession, conspiring the murder against American citizens, acting in furtherance to commit murder as a corrupt entity, while also wearing scrubs and masquerading as people that have compassion, and also want to be confused with actual heroes who aren't maliciously and secretly murdering people and harming them like they are as they are gang stalking at Unicare Community Health Center. The entity uses light activity in the lobby that faces Euclid Avenue at E Street. And the light activity, meaning it's dim inside of that front lobby. And at the same time that I begin processing the podcast, this is called Stalking with Activity, as the demonic pattern of conduct is underway through the environment and the demons that are in that environment gang stalking and engaging in what is surveillance on communication devices. And the Unicare Community Health Center at Euclid and E Street is where light activity is created inside of that establishment, where facilitating venues are those which are closed during business hours because the people of the state are still monitoring to it. The entirety of the environment and everybody in that environment is engaging in ceaseless surveillance. And this is just to speak to light activity, where the facilitating venue of Unicare Community Health Center is engaging in what is the simultaneous creation of light activity. That is, it goes from a dark lobby into a brighter lobby, which is occurring while the Unicare Community Health Center is ostensibly closed at 9:20 p.m. But you also know that they're gang stalking because the entity is amplifying train activity, which is also impossible to hear, in the same way that the sun doesn't sit over 507 North Euclid Avenue from 6:42 in the morning until after 7 p.m., like I've already documented at this Starbucks, where they are gang stalking. I just want to document that, and I'm going to proceed to upload the podcast. The people of the state are monitoring. Surveillance in California is what is underway on the roads and highways. It's not traffic. The demon-possessed are engaged in monitoring. These are monitoring spirits, and they're engaged in criminal summoning. You've already seen the Ontario Police Department engaging and showing the world their demon possession. They are going to be disbanded as well, while they are gang stalking at the intersection of Holt and Euclid at all hours of the night, stalking me while I'm sleeping outside at the museum. That's what the Ontario Police Department is doing now, while they are on traffic cameras at Euclid and Holt at 9:21 p.m., turning on their police lights, which is a method of light activity. Those are demons that were monitoring my vagina under the fake sun at the OVITT Family and Community Library. The fake sun that engaged in a grand departure, as I constantly document what is the prosecution of the demon-possessed who are no longer a secretly existing population. The living dead are engaged in criminal surveillance in the United States, and they are going to be prosecuted as terrorists, and they are the terrorists that commit murder as a corrupt entity. They are the entity that has already committed attempted murder, and they are currently masquerading as law enforcement officers. They are violent sex offenders, and they are obsessed with my vagina, and that's what I documented under the fake sun today at 6:22 p.m., where no natural environment could also simultaneously be over economy, and where, by the way, gang stalking immigrants who commit murder with the United States government in California are gang stalking. Okay, just want to be clear, just so that you know, the demon-possessed that engage in public corruption, there is no loyalty to the United States of America. There's no loyalty to the flag. There is no patriotism, contrary to what the most patriotic demons. If you are mistaken to think that patriotism just merely includes being a racist and being xenophobic and holding up a flag that represents this country, because that's not what patriotism is. And that's also not what the United States of America is about. The entity is engaging in what is the federal group stalking and monitoring, and you're always mindful of what it is that you already know is on the record. And then we're going to document what the demons are doing while they are clearly in front of the whole world engaging in what is exposing what the demon possessed, how they are threatening you in the United States, and the state of California is being prosecuted for it. All right, that's criminal summoning as I'm documenting the Ontario Police stalking in the path with light activity. These are the demons that are, again, on video at 6:22 p.m. That's not the sun, and that none of that was sunlight. That was a pattern of conduct, a grand departure from remaining over economy N. But that's what you have when you're a stalker, and when you are an entity of stalkers, you follow where the fake sun follows. And guess where the fake sun goes? The fake sun goes where I go. And when I go into the bathroom, all of a pattern of conduct is underway. Central to that is focus on my genitalia, and that's why the Ontario Police are going to be disbanded, because sex offenders are not engaged in law enforcement. All right, it is currently 9:23 p.m. This is P.O.C. All right, monitoring 8VRL273, stalking in the path in perfect alignment with where I'm seated at Starbucks. And just so that you know, Harley inside of Starbucks is also monitoring with this demon that's sitting in a dark Tahoe. This is a Spanish-speaking female, or at least a Latina. She is stalking in the path, and she is doing so while I have 3 shadows around me. I'm going to capture that light activity as well. This is demon possession, and this is also Starbucks that doesn't have to step outside in order to be prosecuted. It's a facilitating venue, and they're doing so with all the rest of the people of the state. The ARCO, you already know this neighborhood. The demons in the parking lot at Chevron, the demons that are gang stalking with facilitating light activity inside of the Unicare. You just heard this demon starter ignition, that's activity creation, while I have multiple shadows, okay? This is P.O.C. I'm gonna go ahead and capture. I'm gonna capture evidence of her demon possession. This is P.O.C. license 8VRL273. All right, 8VRL273 is gang stalking with the Ontario International Airport. The whistling of a plane, like there's any planes taking off or departing from the airport here. That's light activity and a stalker. That's also obsessed with my vagina. That's a demon. All right, and that's Alan D. Wapner, again, stalking everywhere that I'm going. Okay, he's being removed from the position as airport authority while demonic activity pursuant to surveillance is underway, while I am exposing the fact that he continuously is stalking me everywhere that I go in the city of Ontario, which is the basis for removal from the gang stalking city of Ontario City Council. Okay, he's a domestic terrorist, and he's a violent sex offender, okay? He is doing so while the entity is flying over the ARCO, the Chevron at East Street and Euclid Avenue, while the entity is flying over 2301 South Euclid Avenue, the Economy Inn, where the entity also kept the fake sun. You are equally witnessing what is the evidence of stalking commercial planes hovering in that sky space and specific environment. This is P.O.C. It is currently 9:26 p.m. The demons that are monitoring what I'm publishing online is pursuant to, this is surveillance while they're driving on the roads and the highways. They're all in engineer light. This is surveillance while the entity is maintaining businesses. ARCO is gang stalking, Chevron is gang stalking, Unicare is gang stalking. You already know that Starbucks is gang stalking, but you know that everybody else is gang stalking when you know that our Starbucks is gang stalking, because Starbucks isn't gang stalking by themselves. Everybody in that environment is engaging in that P.O.C. Everyone, and you don't have to know the demons' names, the demon possessed, to know who you are, and the proof of that knowledge is existing in the specific environment. This is P.O.C. The entity has the fake moon over Economy Inn, where the entity is keeping the fake sun all day long. This is where Alan D. Wapner cannot stop monitoring me and stalking me and engaging what is violating me and my vagina, and that is a basis to publicly have him removed. With regard to Paul Leon as well. This is P.O.C. It is 9:27 p.m. License plate. Looks like 8AJJ 918. You'll see images of the Ontario International Airport, Chevron, ARCO, and Starbucks, the Unicare Community Healthcare Center. These are facilitating venues where they are engaged in federal stalking and comes with the people of the state, which is not limited to your business hours, where the government is maintaining ceaseless surveillance, and the people of the state are engaging in what is obsessive stalking, as I've shown you, is happening in an environment where demonic behavior that exceeds what is naturally possible is actually occurring. And that is also proven through the evidence of the P.O.C. The Ontario International Airport, you'll see the screenshot showing you what is real-time criminal conduct. And this is going, again, criminal prosecution of Alan D. Wapner, who has not only engaged in he's not only a domestic terrorist, he's not only a sex offender by virtue of engaging in gang stalking, and your knowledge about the sexual violence inherent to, the perversion inherent to gang stalking. This is a demon, a domestic terrorist that has engaged in intentionally, knowingly, and continuously threatening my life. He is gang stalking through what are exposed as a corrupt operations of an airport, where you're aware of the fact that in the United States of America, domestic terrorism is underway by the United States government that does use commercial airline planes to attack, to harm, to murder American citizens, not accidents. That's why Alan D. Wapner is the gang stalking president of the airport authority, while I'm subject to stalking with commercial planes, where he has committed attempted murder as an entity. He is gang stalking, and as you'll see in the screenshots uploaded to the Google Drive, it's currently 9:59 p.m. by the way, and I am on Starbucks Wi-Fi network, where they are engaged in surveillance on violation of Title 18, Section 2261A, subsections 1 and 2, the Ontario International Airport, that is Alan D. Wapner, who was going to be removed from office, and he is not excused from a prosecution. I have prosecuted, I have documented, I have proven that he is gang stalking me in furtherance of taking my life while I remain at Facilitating Venue Woodside Senior Apartments, while I remain at what is the Tapor Professional Building, while I remain at every Starbucks in Ontario, California, while I am walking by any venue, while I'm at the OVITT Family Community Library, while I'm at the Ontario Museum of History and Arts, while I'm at the Stater Brothers at 646 West Holt Boulevard inside of the Ontario Village Shopping Center, while I am on Omnitrans, on any route where the entity is gang stalking, and I am showing that Alan D. Wapner is specifically targeting me with the intent to commit murder. And he is doing so in furtherance of the entire objective of gang stalking me in the first place. And in the screenshots, you will see the evidence that supports that, because there is no plane activities pursuant to what are arrivals or takeoffs, arrivals and departures from the terminals. There's only two that Alan D. Wapner knows exactly, and it's his responsibility to know what's going on. Not only is it his responsibility, and it is his knowledge, he is a domestic terrorist, and the extensive, comprehensive, highly diligent system of stalking me and all the ways in which the city of Ontario, which is speaking to the state of California, is doing so. Alan D. Wapner is intimately acquainted with all the ways in which I am even documenting how he is continuously threatening my life. This old white man thinks that he's going to get away with murdering me through the corrupt government practices of the city of Ontario, and that's not what's going to happen. Contrary to that, because of the impunity that Alan D. Wapner exhibits while the Ontario police gang stalk me in real time, he is going to be subject to a federal prosecution for attempted murder as an entity. And he is continuously, as I've been documenting him, as I've been documenting gang stalking by the city of Ontario, the state of California, and Alan D. Wapner by name, this particular terrorist has gone out of his way to threaten my life through the spectacular acts of stalking an American citizen with commercial airline planes and through an entire police department. As you see that ongoing ambush conduct by the Ontario International Airport and the Ontario Police Department, stalking with planes and helicopters under the fake sun and the fake moon and in light that's shooting around like it's a human arcade, where the entity is engaged in what is all manner of terrorism, psychological torture. Alan D. Wapner is gang stalking by flight, which is this demon that is in a position engaging what is dictating terrorism in the city of Ontario, where I am enforcing my right to not be subject to a murder by entity committed by Alan D. Wapner, facilitated by Alan D. Wapner, where commercial planes have no business hovering over this intersection because they're not taking off or arriving, departing. They're merely maintaining what is present in the sky space pursuant to aerial surveillance in that specific environment, and they're also maintaining that specific environment while planes are hovering, and it's coexisting with amplified plane activity and engineered light at an intersection, which is E Street and Euclid, which is a little over four miles away from where you would have an immediate takeoff up right into the sky space when you're taking off from. And by the way, landing is not going to include flying west over this intersection where Alan D. Wapner is clearly targeting me. And he's doing so with the Ontario Police Department. I want to be clear. The Ontario Police, where the entity is engaged in kidnapping, he is sharing in that ongoing intent to obstruct justice while I document him by name, by position, by department. That is the Ontario International Airport gang stalking, which is exactly what's happening when you are exposing public officials by corruption of that department. You are exposing the fire chief when that fire department is gang stalking. You're exposing that police chief when that police department is gang stalking, and they specifically threaten your life more so with impunity, rather, when they continuously gang stalk, and you are to that degree of knowledge and awareness exposing them, and they have the audacity to publicly threaten you like that. That's relevant for the federal prosecution. It's not just going to be removal from office. You will be sitting in federal prison for conspiring the murder, engaging in attempted murder of an American citizen, and then with audacity in the face of that American citizen that knows more than you thought that you knew, to prosecute and prove it, and then yet you continuously engage in that very heavily documented unlawful threat of a federal nature. That's what's significant about the screenshot, showing what is the coexisting surveillance in relevant position. This is gang stalking by planes, which is relevant to the Ontario International Airport, and also gang stalking, which is relevant to surveillance, federal stalking, Title 18. While I am uploading evidence onto the internet, this is where the plane activity is a means of monitoring what I'm publishing online. And it's also relevant that I'm publishing evidence, not nude photos of myself, okay? I'm publishing evidence onto the venue of the internet, which Alan D. Wapner is also threatening my life and interfering with the federal court case while he's engaged in what is monitoring that evidence, okay? The Ontario Police Department that are monitoring my vagina at Economy Inn, and now doing so while I'm at what is
507 North Euclid Avenue. They are going to be disbanded, and they are the reason why Alan D. Wapner will be facing a federal prosecution. Okay, this is the entity that's engaged in that: Michael Gerken, Alan D. Wapner, Paul Leon, Mike Lorenz. The entity that is engaging in what is this pattern of conduct, the entire Ontario City Council. It's not just Paul Leon and Alan D. Wapner. Those two demons just happen to be in positions of leadership where the gang stalking by the airport and the gang stalking by the all of the corrupt city of Ontario is relevant to specific names like Paul Leon and Alan D. Wapner, who is a domestic terrorist over the Ontario International Airport. The entity is again hovering at 10:04 p.m., hovering over the intersection of E Street and Euclid Avenue. They're doing so in engineer light. My shadow is surrounding my person, as I took a picture of, and the people of the state are sharing in that unlawful threat. This is upon engaging in what is attempted murder as in kidnapping, attempted murder as an entity that's engaging in gang stalking, and also Alan D. Wapner engaged in what is kidnapping as an entity. That is, he is gang stalking while the Ontario police that are pacing now, stalking and monitoring, threatening now, while you're documenting them, they're doing so. This is what they were doing in January of 2020 when they engaged in kidnapping, and the Ontario International Airport is hovering over 636 North Vine Avenue, gang stalking pursuant to what is kidnapping, not law enforcement. And there certainly were no facts supporting what is and beyond what is a false arrest and making up charges. That was a kidnapping, while Jason Knighton and Lester Keys were engaged in gang stalking me, and those demons were hostile because I was documenting them. And Alan D. Wapner is gang stalking, as I capture in images, where there's also no arrivals or departures from the airport, where you would make sense of and speak to, have any sort of evidence or defense in court as to how that is not targeting in the specific environment and in conformity to a long documented pattern of conduct of planes always hovering around me, creating amplified audible activity in a specific environment where a fake sun and a fake moon and the people of the state that are stalking with light, as you hear now, how that's not engaging in the kidnapping, because it is. Alan D. Wapner has been engaged in multiple kidnappings while he's been engaged in monitoring for years, and he is still engaging in what is an unlawful threat while you hear the people of the state monitoring. That's Alan D. Wapner's impunity. While you hear, and I'm documenting the entity gang stalking by planes, that's Alan D. Wapner's impunity. And this is the entity that gang stalks in furtherance of murder. They are confident that they'll get away with murdering American citizens. They're confident that they'll get away with it, and that this same corrupt government is the same one that's going to control the narrative and make sure that nobody ever is none the wiser. That's why Alan D. Wapner is being removed from office. And this is also a sex offender who is not merely derelict. This is somebody that is fully compliant, complicit to the criminal conduct, and the demon-possessed are murdering American citizens. And I want to be clear, it is something analogous to what you witnessed on 9/11. Demons that are gang stalking me in commercial planes are the same sort of mentally disabled, the special needs that are murdering American citizens and then calling it security threats, calling it terrorism that's happening because of terrorists from abroad, and they are terrorists that are homegrown. They're working for United Airlines, UPS, Amazon Prime, American Airlines. They're working for, they are masquerading themselves and wanting to be confused with Frontier Airlines. These are American companies that are in the United States, moreover, engaging in business with the United States of America, and they are engaged in where there is no patriotism, there is no loyalty to there's only loyalty to money. There's no loyalty to this country. There's no loyalty to American citizens. These are homegrown terrorists, and they engage in murder, just like you witnessed with 9/11. These are the demons that engage in flying into skyscrapers, the ones that are gang stalking me with commercial planes. And that is exactly what you're witnessing while the entity is gang stalking and what it is confessing to. You have been conditioned with a lot of false information. The entity is witnessing its exposure, and what else are you witnessing? Because it's already I have proven gang stalking to the degree that you must. I want to be clear. The legal requirement is beyond a reasonable doubt in criminal court. But because of the level, there is no but. The legal standard is beyond a reasonable doubt. But I have gone above and beyond that, and that's because of I understand the statements that I'm making. I understand the implications of the documentation that you're witnessing. I understand exactly what are the conclusions that you are inevitably getting to. And you need to be sure beyond a reasonable doubt, because this is not about just the prosecution, which this entity, Alan D. Wapner, is going to be subject to it. This is about understanding what Satan is doing. Satan murders people. Satan murders people as an entity, not individuals. Individuals are acting collectively as an entity in its corruption in the United States. It's disguising itself as civilization. It's disguising itself as law and order when these demons are playing cops and robbers. It's disguising itself as the ongoing not disguising itself, it's operating as what is organized crime. That's what Alan D. Wapner is engaging in and facilitating. And it's not just Alan D. Wapner. Alan D. Wapner is one demon who I have surrounded in a chokehold with evidence to prosecute him for threatening my life, conspiring against my life, and continuously doing so while he knows that I'm documenting him. And it is specific knowledge. It's as specific as keeping a fake sun over the west end of the economy end for the duration of the day. We're plane after 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 plane and after plane and after plane, day and night, are flying over my room in what is light that is inexplicable, never naturally occurring, that's getting to what is probable cause regarding what is obviously suspect. And this is the frequency of plane activity where there is no reconciling arrivals and departures based on what Alan D. Wapner has published on the website, where the entity is engaging what you are understanding as the maintenance of elements of monitoring, amplified audible activity in what is engineered light, in what is a readily identifiable environment. I have referred to it as the specific environment where demons are conspiring to murder someone that they are gang stalking. Alan D. Wapner has already committed attempted murder as an entity. And he is still threatening my life. He is still engaging what is threatening me with the demons that are the Ontario police right now pacing up and down Euclid Avenue. You know what? It's not traffic. You've seen them stalking with impossible light while they're driving on the streets. Ontario police are still over here lusting over murder. They're still lusting over kidnapping. They're still lusting over my vagina. They're still stalking. The entity is engaging in this in real time. And this is the entity that is being simultaneously exposed while they have already been exposed before the world. I want to be clear, exposed for being special needs, exposed for being sex offenders, exposed for being maniacal psychopaths who commit murder, systematic murder. Systematic. And the gang stalking courts are the ones that support and uphold it. The gang stalking sheriff's departments are the ones that are acting complicit to it. They're directly engaging. You've seen the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department. You've seen the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department. You've seen the Orange County Sheriff's Department. You have seen the Kern County Sheriff's Department. You have seen the Riverside Sheriff's Department. I've published all this on the internet. You've seen the San Diego Sheriff's Department engage in targeting me. You've seen all of them stalking in the specific environment by helicopter. What you've witnessed is the entity engaging in what is the organized crime, which is gang stalking. And it's organized with regard to their demon possession, that demonic synchronicity. They're highly disorganized in their thought processes. They're not intelligent. All they do is engaging in murder. So when the entity is not able to use their witchcraft to get rid of me, to silence me, when they're not successful poisoning me, which is what Alan D. Wapner is guilty of as an entity, targeting me, psychologically harming me, and also engage sexually violating me as a corrupt government, facilitating such terrorism and sexual violence as a demon calling himself the president of the airport authority, while he knows very much that the entity has been trying to snuff my life out. That's why it's very specific. It's not vague and ambiguous what Alan D. Wapner is guilty of, what the targeting with commercial planes is in conformity to. It's very specific. It's as specific as poisoning my food systematically, waiting for me to drop dead. That's the same person that's being targeted by Alan D. Wapner in the criminal conduct of the Ontario International Airport. I just want to be clear. This is the entity that's acting with impunity. This is not traffic. And I promise, listen, the federal prosecution, every single last vehicle, every means of audible activity, every iteration of ongoing monitoring, while the demons continuously keep stalking while they're being prosecuted, it's going to translate to years in prison. It's going to translate. You're literally going to document American citizens, and you're going to document that government that knows that you're documenting it. And as you are documenting and witnessing ongoing activity, there are people that are accumulating years of federal prison at the same time, because that's how intolerable this is going to be. This is the entity that's engaging the P.O.C. I'm at 507 North Euclid Avenue, 10:13 p.m. The people of the state are nothing but they're nothing but a bunch of puppets. They're nothing but a bunch of puppets. The entity is engaging in the P.O.C. and their mental illness is the reason why they're going to continuously engage in it. And that's good, because Providence is that you deport gang stalking murderers. You deport them. No hesitation. And it's not a problem. It's not a contingency. You may be subject to deportation, as is the case. I routinely practice criminal law, and you always read that to your client before they agree to sign a nolo contendere, if you're familiar with that, for example. This is not going to be that. You are going to be deported. In the city where the government is monitoring, the gang stalking immigrants are out of this country. Okay? In the city where the entity is engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring, and I'm documenting gang stalking immigrants, you're out of this country. Whether I encountered you gang stalking at the market, at the gas station, at the Starbucks, at church, at Iglesia, no matter where I documented you, whether I documented you personally or not, you're being deported based on what the entity is doing together as an entity, based on the impunity that I've been documenting for a prolonged period of time. What does the entity do? Provide evidence to deport them. That's the Ontario Police Department. Everything that you just heard me say about Alan D. Wapner, this is Alan D. Wapner's impunity. It's relevant to how long gang stalking public officials that conspire to murder sit in federal prison. This is the entity that was gang stalking, by the way, at the OVITT Family Community Library, while the fake moon is over me at East Street and Euclid. The demons that were stalking at Economy Inn, the gang stalking immigrants at Economy Inn. This is the entity that's keeping the fake sun at the same time in Pasadena, California. The fake sun remained there. I captured video, and I'm capturing video tomorrow in 2024, where I spent the night in Pasadena and the fake sun remained over me and a bunch of demons stalking as I walk in and out of that hotel room. In the morning, where I'm capturing the fake sun in the morning and remaining in the afternoon over the top of my head, just like I'm documenting where the fake sun does not move over the hotel where I remain. It does not move from the library I remain in. And this is where the entity is gang stalking with terrorists and sex offenders and co-conspirators to murder as in a corrupt government like Alan D. Wapner, whose criminal engagement in pattern of conduct is is confirmed by the ongoing targeting by the City of Ontario, that is the Ontario Police Department. A bunch of imps who have provided for the surefire prosecution of the people of the state and all of the Ontario Police Department's co-conspirators, including Tracy Banks, who you see kidnapping with the same department that's stalking. This is going right back to what you see on video on May 29, 2025. And you know who's stalking on Euclid Avenue in front of the work boot warehouse? The people of the state are going to be prosecuted by establishment. It's not going to be based on your business hours. That's why the people of the state are engaged in surveillance, stalking on the side of the road with the Ontario police that fly over my head while the fake moon is over my head where the Ontario International Airport is flying at this same intersection. This is why the policies that I have presented, this is exactly why they are going to be used. This is exactly how and what justice requires based on the mental illness, the obsession, the impunity of murderers that have engaged in years of organized crime, getting away with murdering people. But when the targeted individual is smarter than all the demons put together, all the lower spiritual beings put together, when the target individual is one that you cannot get rid of with witchcraft and one that is literally analyzing your psychological torture tactics as opposed to breaking down and cowering in a corner somewhere, then you're going to prison. Then you're being disbanded. Then you're being removed from office. Then you are going to be deported. Then you're going to be labeled as the domestic terrorist and the sex offender that you are. Because this is what they do. They're not even intelligent. It's not witty at all. It's just wicked, and they murder people. That's why it's been going on for so long. That's why, because they're murderers. And this is what Alan D. Wapner is directly engaging in the Ontario International Airport, where the Ontario Police Department flies right over my head. And where am I at? The very heavily documented 507 North Euclid Avenue, where Harley and the entity that is gang stalking, oh yeah, the manager that's engaged in criminal summoning with the Ontario Police Department at 11:09 in the morning, if I recollect correctly. He likes to wear a little top ponytail on the top of his head with dark black hair. He's engaged in gang stalking as well. He's in relevant positions, sweeping the floor while you're stalking in the path. And engineer light, you already know what fills Starbucks. You know what Starbucks is doing all day long. You know how Starbucks lies out of their face while they're gang stalking, and they like to summon the gang stalkers that just flew over my head. That's not helpful evidence with regard to not wanting to go to federal prison for kidnapping, which was documented on July 4, 2025 at 7:15 in the morning, when at the same time, by the way, which is what I documented at Economy Inn, where the sunrise is not going to be next to L. Edwards through the window on Euclid Avenue, and also over Economy Inn while I'm facing the pool, which is facing facing east. This is where the demons are going to be surrounded with their evidence, the illusions that they presented. Their illusions is relevant to their mental illness. And you're going to be diagnosed and you're going to be convicted as well. This is the entity that's engaging in that. In the city of Ontario, these demons are surrounded with evidence, and that same gang stalking police department is what was monitoring my vagina. That gang stalking sex offender wearing Ontario Police Department uniform was monitoring my vagina with the rest of those sex offenders inside of the OVITT Family Community Library, and he walks out to get inside of his vehicle while he was partaking, probably masturbating, probably engaging in some sort of sexual act. All right, I want to be clear, it is a sexual act while you're engaging in what is the sex offense committed by a bunch of demons where you don't know that they're sexually violating somebody. It is a sex act that he's engaged in, and it's a criminal one, and it's a satanic one. And this is the one, if you're ignorant about what I'm referring to, look at the sex offender that's on video today at 6:22 p.m. He's going to federal prison as surely as his partner flies over my head, confirming the sex offense that he was committing while I'm being targeted by the Ontario Police Department while my vagina is exposed inside of the OVITT Family Community Library at 215 East C Street in Ontario, California. Okay, this is the entity that engaged in kidnapping with Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue. This is the entity that's engaged in federal stalking, flying over my head by helicopter, flying over this intersection where Alan D. Wapner has no arrivals or departures, where pursuant to what are flights that are published on the website, where you are flying at a low elevation, where you're even hearing plane activity. When you're departing from the airport, you're not even going to be over in this sky space. And none of those airlines are engaging in anything other than gang stalking in doing so. And they're demons. And this is domestic terrorism. And terrorism in the United States is because of the United States government that's terrorizing American citizens. It's organized crime where they commit murder. In the way in which this entity tried to do to me, it did not work. And I'm telling you about it. And I'm telling you about what they've done to other people. In the Ontario Police Department is no police department. They are being disbanded. Mike Lorenz will never be in law enforcement ever again. He is done. In no territory throughout the U.S. will he ever have anything to do with law enforcement, and you can mark my words. Okay, it is currently 10:20 p.m. Pay attention to the helicopter activity, the Ontario Police Department. Let me go ahead and get this right here, because they're stalking in the path while Mike Lorenz's career with law enforcement is over. This is the Ontario Police that are simultaneously crossing path while you're documenting vehicle 1030. Those are the sex offenders monitoring my vagina, going to Starbucks where you know that they're gang stalking, pressing on the brake lights is light activity, and the entity is doing so while you're documenting it. This is my shadow here that's in front of me, and this is my shadow back here. This is called Engineer Light. I am simultaneously documenting on podcast, and that is, again, the entity that is stalking in the path with the people of the state. This demon has been maintaining light activity. That's called stalking in the path in the engineered environment. This is where the Ontario Police Department flew right over my head, as you can hear. This is where as you heard on the podcast, and this is where the fake moon is, where the Ontario Police is engaged in what is stalking. Okay? This is the entity that's engaged in what is monitoring. That's what surveillance is pursuant to. All they're all doing is stalking as an entity. When the entity is keeping a fake sun over one building all day, like I documented at Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue, then you're taking a big picture assessment. And what they're actually doing while I stay here and the fake sun stays here, you're looking at a bunch of demons that look like they're going somewhere, like they're leaving, but they're not. First of all, they're distinct from me. It's not the same experience. I am the target individual while the fake sun remains over me, which is shown through remaining over a building. And you're looking at what is a population that's merely going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. They're all demons. They're psychopaths. They're the special needs population that are stalking as a police department that's being disbanded. This is Ontario Police gang stalking in concert with the Ontario International Airport. Alan D. Wapner is being removed from office. He is equally conspiring the murder of an American citizen. He has already committed attempted murder as an entity in the corrupt position as a president of Airport Authority, where the entity is engaging in what is federal group stalking and monitoring, which is that underway for purposes of murder of American citizens by the government. That's gang stalk with the people of the state. 9 TSC 727. It is currently 10:21 p.m. This is P.O.C. All right, showing you what is the entity stalking. This is in traffic. So the Ontario Police Department is engaging in surveillance flying over my head. In the engineer light, the fake moon is over my head. This is the same crime scene that you saw at Economy Inn, where the entity is gang stalking Ontario Police flying in circles while the Ontario International Airport flies over my head. And the demons of the Ontario Police Department are stalking in the path while I'm speaking to the fact. All they're doing is witnessing. I'm glad that you hear it, because Mike Lorenz is done with law enforcement. He is done. And so you have one of those little puppets drive by in real time while I document that. And Lab Court, which is creeping in between two buildings, turning their headlights off. They're gang stalking together with the Ontario Police. These are demons that stalk in the path. They engage in what is psychopathic means of hunting American citizens down like they're animals and preying upon them, murdering them, silencing them, oppressing them, stealing from them. That's what these demons thought that they were going to get away with. Not only are you not taking my property, but everybody that already put their hands in my property, you stole my money, you stole my property, gang stalking judges, enabling this corrupt system to go underway. The entity that I've been documenting and keeping my property a secret, keeping court hearings about my property a secret, criminally defaming me by these puppets, these imbeciles, these demons and sex offenders having the audacity to try to defame me while they are stalking me as a whole department. They're going to prison. They're going to federal prison. It is currently 10:23 p.m. That's the Ontario Police Department showing their obsession with me, showing impunity, which is borne by the entire entity. It is shared by the same demons of the city of Ontario, the state of California. Alan D. Wapner shares in that. They are an entity poisoning together. They're an entity stalking together. They're an entity harassing together. They're an entity engaging in that pattern of conduct as it is shown to you under the fake sun. So is the conspiracy to murder. So is the ongoing kidnapping. So is the entity that's exhibiting hostility. One demon acts as an entity, and you're going to be prosecuted. This is P.O.C. Remember everything that I documented and what is happening in the environment, because when demons are standing in federal court And they're talking about trying to give legally irrelevant excuses about what the government was doing, explaining the helicopter, because you're going to produce the identity, you're going to produce what are the business records, you're going to produce who was there, what they were doing, with regard to how the elements are underway. Because they're thinking, oh, I was preparing a drink. No, they were stalking with audible activity and engineer light, which fills that cafe. I already have them surrounded with the evidence. They're going to be prosecuted for conspiracy to murder upon federal group stalking and monitoring. They're going to be prosecuted for kidnapping, criminal summoning, that's facilitation while you are engaged in the pattern of trying to murder somebody. And all of this because they were trying to steal. Why are they conspiring to kill Erica Lorraine Spencer? All because of money that they're not getting. Money that they have already stolen. Guess who? Everybody that already put their paws on my money, on my property, those are the ones that are admittedly targeting. How do you know about property that belongs to me and I don't even know you? And I didn't even tell you. I don't even know about it. How is it being entertained in a court? Or you're somebody that I wouldn't even talk to about my personal business and you know about it. You've already put your paws on it. You're going to prison. You're going to prison. And any demon that's sitting on a bench that permitted it, they're going to prison. Anybody else sitting in federal court defaming my character, this is why they're doing it. Conspiring my murder while I'm being gang stalked by a bunch of demons who want to be confused with police, but none of you are confused. The world that's witnessing, you are not. I know you're not confusing this with law enforcement. These demons are caught red-handed. They are caught while they are obsessing over my vagina. They are caught to the nth degree, 1,000% beyond a reasonable doubt, and I know that that's necessary based on the weight of the assertions, based on the weight of the allegations. But I am only required to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. And not only have I completed my prosecution on the internet, it's going to occur in a federal tribunal. And the Ontario police that are gang stalking, they're doing so with L&D WAPNER, the Ontario International Airport. Every business airline is engaged in criminal surveillance in furtherance of murder. These are businesses engaged in what is relevant to federal RICO. That's conspiracy to murder is a crime. The federal RICO case is relevant to conspiracy to murder someone. That's how these businesses are going to be prosecuted, because that's what they're doing. That's exactly what they're doing while they're gang stalking. That's how I have the specific environment at Economy Inn, at Motel 6 in Arcadia, when I'm on the roads and the highways, and I go to the McDonald's drive-thru and Pasadena police are flying over my car by helicopter in conformity to the pattern of conduct and engineer light. When I can't even order a Big Mac, and I don't even like McDonald's like that, but I can't order it without being gang stalked by the police in California. That's a federal RICO case, conspiracy to murder. You're going to be prosecuted for very serious crimes. And those that engage in threatening my life while they are keeping the evidence under surveillance, you're going to federal prison. So perhaps when I say it a little more clearer, more calmly, you're going to federal prison. You can mark my words, you are going to federal prison. Okay? You have imbeciles that are gang stalking in an obvious manner. No sane person is gang stalking, and no sane person would obviously engage in criminal conduct for which they will sorely regret when it is played in court in order to prosecute. And that there's no question about what it is that I'm documenting, what it is with regard to the pattern that is exhibited, and what justice requires as a result. And how it's going to be a lesson to the rest of the country and the world. Because they need to know that contrary to what California is doing, no terrorism by any foreigner or domestic enemy is going to be tolerated. This is the disbanding of the Ontario Police Department. It's 10:27 p.m. where a bunch of demons are stalking. A bunch of demons are stalking where they're already proven to be stalking. All right, this is P.O.C. At 507 North Euclid Avenue, the entity is maintaining ongoing traffic through the drive-thru while the pattern of conduct remains underway. You already know what these demons are doing through the drive-thru. They're making purchases while they're gang stalking. That's the federal RICO case as well. Anyway, it's currently 10:27 p.m. This is P.O.
There's the Ontario Police again. All right, well, I am uploading the podcast, and I am indeed going to upload the podcast. That's the Ontario Police again. Let me repeat it. Mike LORENZ is being removed from law enforcement. He's not the only one. He's being removed from law enforcement. That's amplified helicopter activity, which is sounding while the helicopter is at a distance in what is engineer light, with simultaneity to the operation of my device. And the operation of my device that the demons are hostile to is the fact that I'm preparing to publish the
publish the podcast that I just captured. 30-minute discussion while the Ontario police flew directly over my head. They're doing so under the fake moon. While they're flying over there, it's still called crossing path. They're doing so in the specific environment where also the Ontario International Airport was flying here, like I captured in images, like I captured on the podcast. That's monitoring. This is what they were doing while I was remaining inside of the hotel room, and this is criminal conduct. 866-83A4. These are the elements of monitoring, and these are demons, all right? And while you're driving on the 60 freeway, I'm not going to hear your vehicle inside of my hotel room. The people of the state are sex offenders, and they engage in organized murder in the state of California with the government. IVUVNSH, and they do so as a gang stalking population with immigrants as well who are going to be deported. So you're talking about prosecuting the city of Ontario. Immigrants, they're going to be deported, and that's by default. 8WHK315 7VCH048 license plate. This is all federal stalking. DJHM800, and there's the Ontario police. While I'm going to publish the podcast on the internet, and this is an unlawful threat. This is what they're doing over the hotel room at 6:04 p.m. for 10 minutes while the fake sun remains over, economy in, and those demons flew in a circle repeatedly, just like they did right here at Starbucks, where you've already seen the document of the Ontario Police Department stalking while the fake sun remains here from morning until evening, engaging in that pattern of flying in circles over me while they're triggered by what I'm publishing online about their criminal conduct, which is why they're being disbanded. And the co-conspirator to my murder, Alan D. Wapner, the criminal conduct of every airline, gang stalking with the Ontario International Airport, is why they are being disbanded. And the entity is going to be federally prosecuted for the conspiracy to murder the one whom they are clearly gang stalking. Beyond a reasonable doubt, by the way. That's the legal standard. It is currently 10:31 p.m. That's the entity monitoring my evidence. That's federal stalking conduct, and you're also doing it pursuant to being documented, and no American citizen is going to be subject to that threat without paying the penalty for it. That's an impermissible threat by the government that thinks they're going to stalk and monitor you, threaten your life, and then they're going to do more of it. I'm going to fly over you in a helicopter to stop you from publishing it on the video of the internet. No, you're not. You're going to federal prison. The entity is going to produce this information about these demons that need to be placed in mental asylums. They're going in padded rooms, and they're going in federal prison. This is P.O.C. It is 10:32 p.m.